Right now on IUSTV News, a 6-hour standoff at a Bloomington hotel ends with an arrest. What happened and what we know about the man taken into custody.
Plus, the tariff drama continues, China now unleashing their own retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Find out what imports President Trump is now targeting.
And penny pause, why the president is asking the Treasury Department to halt production of the copper Lincoln.
And the colder temperatures have definitely settled in. We're tracking more cold and more rain in this week's forecast.
A tense and unpredictable standoff in Bloomington ends with a man in custody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dana Behlmer.
And I'm Graham DeWitte. You're watching IUSTV News. It happened Friday at the Homewood Suites on Liberty Drive. That's on the west side of Bloomington.
Tonight, our Tegan Emerson is in studio with more on what led up to the standoff. Tegan.
The Monroe County Sheriff says deputies were at the hotel to serve a warrant. When police unlocked a room door, they saw a man inside with a gun. We're told it began around noon on Friday. Police learned the man was in the room with a dog and his 87-year-old mother. He was wanted for failing to register as a sex offender. Police were able to remove the woman and the dog from the room around 7:30, but the man refused to come out. The standoff lasted 8 hours, around 8:30. Samuel Baumgartner Jr. was booked into jail on the outstanding warrants, as well as criminal confinement, unlawful gun possession, and other charges. The Monroe County prosecutor has yet to file charges in the case. Baumgartner is being held in the jail without bond until his initial hearing. In studio, Tegan Emerson, IUSTV News.
Tegan, thank you. Police are investigating a stabbing that happened Sunday afternoon at Crawford Apartments off Henderson Street, that is near Bloomington South High School. And we're told police responded to the complex just after 4 p.m. Officers found a 31-year-old man with abdominal stab wounds. He was taken to the hospital in stable condition. There have not been any arrests, but police said the investigation remains open.
All right, let's get a check of the weather. It's been much colder, and now it's kind of sucks, I'll be honest. When we got to 60 degrees, about a week and a half ago, I was kind of hoping I could transition to shorts once again. Sadly, not the case.
I know, it's unfortunate. Being in February in the Midwest is definitely unexpected. We don't know what's going to happen. But Isaac, tell us what's up for this week.
Yeah, Graham, Dana, I wish I had better news to tell you weather-wise, but unfortunately that cold is sticking around here in Bloomington. Let's take a look at our current temperatures here in Bloomington. As we look across the region, 40 right here in Bloomington, 39 a little north of us in Spencer. And then as we go down to our south, we see 42 in Washington, 42 in Bedford, and then down to 41 down there in Brownstown. Now looking ahead overnight, it's going to stay very cold tonight as we get to 9 p.m. It'll be 30 degrees and that will stick throughout the night past midnight into 3 a.m. Tomorrow morning. So definitely going to be very cold out there. The cold has definitely settled in at this point in the year. Tomorrow morning dog walk, again, more of the same here. The cold is definitely a familiar theme this week. When we wake up at 6 a.m., it'll be 29 degrees. It'll stay that way at 7 a.m. and then 8 a.m. It'll get up to 30 degrees. So morning dog walk, may want to cut it short. Definitely want to bundle up tomorrow when you're heading out the door. Now coming up in our 7-day forecast, definitely staying average with our temperatures, but the rain will return and then we'll look ahead to next week and we'll have some bitter cold. That's all I have for now. Back to you guys at the desk.
Isaac, thank you. Tonight, a 24-year-old man is facing charges for allegedly having sexual pictures and videos of children younger than 12. Ryan Nelson is facing felony charges of child exploitation and possession of child pornography. The investigation began after a detective got a tip in December. Police reportedly uncovered the sexual abuse material on one of his social media accounts. He faces as much as 12 years in prison if convicted of the charges.
The Bloomington City Council has approved merging 3 separate commissions into a new transportation commission. In a vote that ended 7-2, the new commission will replace the bicycle, pedestrian safety, and parking traffic commissions. The new 9-person commission will oversee all transportation-related issues. The new commission will provide recommendations and guidance to the mayor and council. They will also oversee future transportation studies and grant programs and will now head to Mayor Carrie Thompson for approval.
Bloomington Fire Department marks the first fire department to use telemedicine kits in the United States. The fire department's mobile integrated health program purchased the kits from Tech for Life through a grant from Indiana Department of Security. These kits launched in 2022 allow paramedics to get real-time vitals of patients. The telemedicine kits read ECG vitals, vital signs, and oxygen saturation levels.
A state trooper hit by a drunk driver in 2024 has returned after a year-long recovery. Trooper Azariah Keith was hit by a drunk driver last January while helping a stranded motorist on an Indianapolis interstate. Trooper Keith grew up in the Bloomington area and after being assigned to Indy, has transferred to Monroe County during his long-year recovery. Trooper Keith was back to work Tuesday, according to a post on Facebook.
A new fast food Mexican restaurant is coming to Bloomington. Del Taco, the Mexican quick-service restaurant, is expanding to the Indianapolis market, including a new location right here in Bloomington. But Bloomington's not the only nearby location getting a Del Taco. Surrounding areas like Bedford, Columbus, Avon, Plainfield, and Greenfield will be opening too. It is unknown when the fast food chain will be opening in Bloomington. It could be another whirlwind week for international trade. President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on China.
He says he plans to target steel and aluminum imports. Amy Kiley has the latest.
This escalation is not going to be helpful.
President Donald Trump says he's announcing a number of new tariffs this week, starting today.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum, too.
Canada produces about a quarter of U.S. steel imports. Mexico supplies about half that. Analysts say the upside of the tariffs is they might help domestic producers. U.S. Steel Corporation is struggling so much it unsuccessfully tried to sell itself to a Japanese company last month. Some economists say the downside of tariffs could be higher prices for Americans. They point to other duties on metals that Trump imposed in his first term.
It was sort of a situation where an eye for an eye left everybody blind.
Also today, new Chinese tariffs on some U.S. goods begin. They're 15% for certain types of coal and liquefied natural gas, and 10% for crude oil, certain vehicles, and farm equipment. China says, quote, trade and tariff wars have no winners. But it says it's responding to Trump's new tariff on Chinese products. Those force American businesses to pay 10% extra as a kind of tax on Chinese imports over $800. Many economists say that could be inflationary.
When you're dealing with the Chinese government, you really are looking to try to find a way that nobody really looks bad.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The Trump administration says it's only pausing tariffs on Chinese imports that cost less than $800. It says the Commerce Department is developing a system for tracking those goods. And new from over the weekend, President Trump asking the Treasury Department to stop making pennies. The president said the rising cost of producing pennies is the reason behind his decision. He called it wasteful spending and says he's ordered the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. It costs more than 3.5 cents to produce and distribute new pennies. The rising cost of metals is part of the reason it's been getting more expensive to make the coin.
The U.S. government headquarters for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is closing down this week. Bureau employees were abruptly informed Sunday afternoon that the watchdog agency's Washington, D.C. headquarters will not be open for this week. Workers and contractors were instructed to work remotely. No reason was stated for the sudden closure, but the move comes days after Elon Musk tweeted out CFPB RIP with a tombstone emoji.
Toyota drivers, heads up, the company issued a major recall.
Still ahead, what is behind the recall and what car models are affected. Plus, did you stay up a little late to watch the Super Bowl? Maybe called off work? Well, you're not alone. Find out how many others joined the trend. But first,
619 Structure Fire, Ford Corporation.
An explosion rocks Pennsylvania industrial plant, leaving multiple people injured. What we know about the investigation so far. We're back in a few. Welcome back. Drivers who take Interstate 69, heads up. Lane closures are returning to portions of Monroe and Morgan counties. INDOT says starting today, the left lane and shoulder of the southbound lanes will be closed between Big Bend Road and Fox Hollow Road. This is north of Bloomington. At the same time, the right lane and the northbound side will be closed between West Fullerton Pike and West Vernal Pike. This is just west of Bloomington. Exits 117 and 118 will stay open during the lane closures. INDOT expects the work to last through at least June.
An investigation is underway after a massive explosion rocks an industrial plant. It happened near Sagertown in northwest Pennsylvania. The explosion sending multiple people to the hospital, including firefighters. Brian Abel has the details.
619 structure fire, Ford Corporation.
As firefighters responded to a massive industrial fire in Sagertown, Pennsylvania Sunday morning.
Major explosion.
The explosion at Parker Lord Corporation, a chemical manufacturing plant with more than 200 employees, some being sent to the hospital with minor injuries, along with multiple firefighters who are working to contain the fire.
I can tell you it's really lucky that there weren't fatalities on this because of the extent of the explosion.
Local officials giving a shelter-in-place order to the town around the company that makes adhesives, coatings, and other materials for multiple industries. That order since lifted. The company saying the explosion caused major damage, with 4 of its employees, along with 4 firefighters treated for injuries. And in a statement, Parker Lord thanked first responders and wished all of those who were injured a speedy recovery. The company says it will learn from this and will continue to place a high priority on safety. The cause of the fire and explosion still unknown. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
Fire officials say it is remarkable and unbelievable that there were thankfully no fatalities.
An estimated 22.5 million people missed work following last night's Super Bowl. That's up 40% from a year ago. Researchers also found that only 2% said they planned to call in sick, while another 2% said they planned to ghost their employer and not show up. The poll estimates that nearly 13 million took a pre-approved day off. Super Bowl Monday has always been one of the least productive workdays of the year, and this year was no different.
Toyota has issued recalls for more than 140,000 vehicles. The recall applies to 2024 and 2025 Toyota Tacomas. Toyota officials say the rear brake hoses can be damaged over time and increase the risk of a crash. The other recall is for 2025 Toyota Camrys and the Lexus NX and some Lexus RX models. Officials say those cars may have damaged seat belts that do not meet strength requirements. Toyota and Lexus dealers will make those repairs free of charge. To see if your car applies for this recall, visit Toyota's website and enter your car's VIN number.
More than half a century after Pablo Picasso's death, the master is still revealing new works. A portrait of a woman lost in 1901 has been unveiled under one of Picasso's paintings. The original piece shows outlines of this female portrait. The art was examined with infrared and X-ray imaging before an exhibition. The woman's identity is still unknown, but experts say she resembles several other women Picasso painted in Paris in 1901.
New limits on egg purchases may have some Trader Joe customers scrambling to other stores. The company is now enforcing a 1 dozen egg limit per day for customers due to the avian flu. A company spokesperson says this will help stores prevent their shelves from going bare. Avian flu has killed more than 40 million egg-laying birds in 2024. The lack of eggs has caused them to be more expensive and led to some people to try to buy larger amounts per visit.
British singer Ed Sheeran is facing some trouble in India. Sheeran took to busy street in that country this weekend for a surprise live performance, but authorities soon pulled the plug, saying he didn't have permission to street perform. Sheeran was in between shows in the city of Bengaluru. Midway through Sheeran's rendition of Shape of You, a policeman yanked out his guitar and microphone cables. Sheeran said on Instagram the street gig was planned and he had been given the all clear. Still to come on IUSTV News, there's new guidelines for testing for osteoporosis. Find out in today's Health Minute.
Plus, what you need to know about a surge in measles case that is popping up in Texas. What health officials are blaming as the reason for the surge.
Hey, at least it's warm down there in Texas. Up here in Bloomington, temperatures are plummeting. What that means for your week, we'll break all that down after this.
It's the most common bone disease in the United States, osteoporosis. This weakening of bone structure, tissue, and strength can lead to an increased risk of fractures.
It's a treatable condition, but only if it's detected through screening. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither goes over the recommendations and explains why they've changed.
It's called a silent disease because there are no symptoms of early stage osteoporosis. It's usually found after a fracture or during screening.
It's just a matter of age and time and non-use of your bones that it slowly develops.
Dr. Paul Lewis with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says osteoporosis screening isn't invasive but critical as it can detect the condition before bones are broken. New guidelines recommend all women over age 65 have a bone mineral density test. Women of any age at increased risk for the disease are also advised to be screened.
It's almost as simple as getting x-rays taken. You lay on the table, they focus on the hip or the spine or your wrist, and a score is computed from that.
That score helps determine bone density. If it's low, Lewis says there are several medications that can stop bone loss or help build bone back. Consistently doing weight-bearing exercises or aerobics can also help prevent the disease. He says the new recommendations are due to an increase in injuries and even deaths linked to these types of fractures in the last 7 years.
The jury's still out on men getting screened, but typically men with risk factors of osteoporosis should be screened as well. That decision, though, comes between the patient and their physician.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A measles outbreak is growing in rural West Texas. 2 children were hospitalized for the virus last month. The number of cases jumped to 14 confirmed and 6 probable last week. None of them are believed to have been vaccinated, and most of the new cases are children. The state says the area has vaccination rates well below the recommended level. Measles is an airborne disease that can cause fever, cough, and runny nose, and rashes.
A new government study links alcohol use to increased liver damage if you have belly fat, diabetes, or high blood pressure. The study looked at cases of nearly 41,000 people. Researchers found that drinking alcohol more than doubles the risks of severe liver damage if you have a large belly or diabetes. Drinking nearly doubles the risk for those with high blood pressure. Doctors say drinking damages liver cells trying to metabolize alcohol and can lead to additional fat buildup.
Going back to weather, the cold weather has returned, and so has the chances for rain.
Yeah, if you could summarize this week in 2 words, it would be cloudy and cold. Got some rain chances as well later on in the week, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. Got the current temperatures right now across the region here in south central Indiana. So you look here, 40 degrees here in Bloomington. Off to our north, we have 38 in Franklin and then 39 in Martinsville. And then as we get off to our west, it gets a little bit warmer, 41 in Bloomfield, 42 in Washington. Now looking ahead to tomorrow, it's going to be very, very cold, a little bit colder than we saw today. When we get up at 8 a.m., it'll be 30 degrees. As we get into noon, it'll warm up by 5 degrees, get up to 35 there during lunchtime. And then that will continue throughout the rest of the afternoon. As we get to 4 p.m., it'll dip down to 34 degrees. So again, pretty cold day tomorrow, very similar to the conditions we saw today. Thursday highs, again, going to be very, very similar to what we saw today and what we'll see tomorrow as well. 39 here in Bloomington, and then as we get off to our east, 41 in Brownstown, and then up to 40 there in Versailles, 39 in Brookville as well. And then as we get to our weekend, looking ahead to Saturday, it'll be 36 at 8 a.m. And then after that, the rain will start to roll in to Bloomington. We'll see temperatures at 38 degrees at noon. And then that's when the rain will start there. That'll continue throughout the rest of the afternoon. Those temperatures will stay pretty steady there at 38 degrees on Saturday. And then looking ahead to our 7-day forecast, again tomorrow, we've got some rain chances. Temperatures will get up to 38 degrees, go down to 29 degrees. Then that will take us into Thursday and Friday. It'll still be cloudy there. Then the rain will return on Saturday, high of 43. Then as we get into Sunday, into Monday, those lower temperatures get into the teens, even single digits there next Monday. Will be a little sunny, but going to be bitterly, bitterly cold next week.
Really sucks, you know, we had that warm stretch and now it's getting cold again. Just feels like no matter what, you can't escape that Midwest inconsistency in these time of the year.
You can't.
Yeah, well, thank you, Isaac.
Daniel is standing by with a look at what we can expect in sports.
Hi guys. It was a long weekend for the IU men's basketball team. First, the much anticipated news that head coach Mike Woods will not be returning next season. The late details about the announcement. Plus, another heartbreaker this time at home. IU falls just short again to the Wolverines. It's all next in sports.
Thanks, Daniel. And before we head to break, are you following us on social media? If not, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Just search IUSTV News. We're back with more after this.
Hello, Hoosier fans. I'm Daniel Malaro, and I'm here to catch you up on all things sports. The Hoosiers fall to the Wolverines in another heartbreaker. The Hoosiers lost to the Wolverines 70-67 in a season in which the Hoosiers have struggled to win in close games. They see yet another fall through their hands. The Hoosiers are on a 5-game losing streak and have only won 3 games in their last 10. The Hoosiers have fallen to the bottom 8 of the Big Ten and only see themselves 1 game out from missing the Big Ten tournament. The Hoosiers will travel north to East Lansing to take on number 9 Michigan State Tuesday night. The head coaching search begins as Mike Woodson will retire at the end of the season. IU made the announcement Friday that Woodson will step down as head coach at the end of the season. Coach Woodson let athletic director Scott Dolson know about his decision the day before the Hoosiers welcomed the Wolverines into Bloomington. The Hoosiers have won 1 game in their last month as their tournament hopes slowly start to slip away. The IU women's basketball team has ended their 3-game winning streak. IU women went 1-1 this past week with an 81-60 win over Rutgers and a 66-56 loss to Minnesota Golden Gophers. Sydney Parrish led the way for the Hoosiers against Rutgers with 22 points, shooting 8 of 11 from the field. Shea Shefsky and Carolina Sherplin led the way in the Hoosiers' loss to Minnesota, both having 12 points. Shefsky was 4 of 8 from the field, while Sherplin was 5 of 8 from the field, and the Hoosiers will travel to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan Wolverines Wednesday night. The Philadelphia Eagles are your 2025 Super Bowl champions. The Philadelphia Eagles knocked off the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. Jalen Hurts led the way for the Eagles, throwing for 221 passing yards and 72 yards on the ground. Jalen Hurts was also named Super Bowl MVP to go along with his stellar performance. Early betting odds favor the Chiefs or the Eagles to hoist a trophy next year, along with the Ravens and the Bills, who missed out on the big game this year. And for the latest things and all things IU sports, be sure to tune in each week to Hoosier Sports Night. You can catch it Thursdays on IUSTV. That's all for sports. Back to you at the desk.
Daniel, thank you.
Isaac, let's get one last check of that 7-day forecast.
Yeah, it is cold right now. It's going to get even colder here as we move throughout our next 7 days. Big things to note here, we're going to have some rain there on Saturday. Reach high of 43 degrees, which will be the warmest it'll get this week. And then Sunday and Monday, we'll see a high of 34 on Sunday, low of 13. And then Monday, that sunshine will return, but high of 19 with a low of 6. So single-digit temperatures on our way. Definitely not going to be fun, but 1 day closer to spring, which is a good thing.
Yeah, those walks to class for the next couple weeks, not going to be all that fun. Well, Isaac, thank you, and thank you for watching IUSTV News.
For updates between newscasts, check out IUSTV.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X. We're back here tomorrow night. See y'all then.